South Africans are finding ways to make dining out work even on a tight budget. And this has been reflected in Spur's interim numbers. The group has delivered a 14% jump in revenue as average spend per head grew above menu price inflation. And this led to an 11.4% increase to 291 cents. We're now joined by company CEO Val Nichas. Thank you so much for your time, Val. Now let's chew into the composition of your sales growth and what it highlights in terms of what consumers are after.
Yes, we were very pleased with the results, considering it was a difficult trading period. But we are seeing interesting things like our dinner trade increasing. So that's saying that people still want to come out for a treat, still want to go out for that small indulgence to the shopping mall. You know, maybe in these tight economic times, people can't afford to buy some of the hard goods or the physical goods, but they can come and treat their families for a meal. So we've seen no specific trend across a particular category. I think people are looking for value and they are redeeming their vouchers. But I think we've seen just the usual restaurant trade where people are just wanting to come out and celebrate with their friends and families.
Well, talk about people looking for value. How has the inflation picture actually played out within the casual dining space during the period?
Over the last 12 months, food inflation has come down. So I think it was about a year ago that we had a double-digit food inflation. I think we're sitting at about 5.1 at the moment. So yes, it's come down, but I think food prices and input prices have increased. And that was a lot to do with the load shedding experience we all had a year ago and 6 months ago. So eventually, you know, even your factories and production houses had to put in alternative power. So that has impacted on prices. Yeah, so I think it is tough, but you got to try and balance the menu and ensure that you still have something of value, a good entry level, and then try and still support the franchisee with a decent margin in order to be sustainable.
I understand that you said that the food inflation has cooled down, I guess, from a kind of a headline perspective. But also you've had other challenges, supply chain, climate change, avian flu. Has that filtered through to kind of the price picture that we're seeing or not?
Yes, to a degree. So, for example, with the weather patterns, we know that all our potato suppliers had some difficult yields.
Yes.
So that did affect pricing where farmers were impacted on the weather conditions. So yes, there have been a few, a lot of them around the alternative power requirements. And then, of course, we had the avian flu with chickens, so that impacted a little bit. So there has been, and also sort of congestion at the ports.
Yes.
You know, there have been some supply issues across the band that have impacted.
Are you starting to see significant relief in terms of the fact that we haven't had load shedding in a while, or maybe that hasn't filtered through quite yet?
Look, yeah, it's been an interesting time because we're having the anniversary of the peak of load shedding last year this time. So for one thing, the franchisees can rest their generators a bit because it was costing them quite a lot of money in diesel and also maintenance.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's good. I think it's good for the economy, and I think the sentiment of the consumer, I think it's good.
All right. I mean, just extending on the question that I asked about the composition of your sales growth, just going into the Doppio collection edition, is that playing off or paying off rather at the level of your expectation?
Yes, so it's early days, it's 7 months, but we're happy with the progress of 7 months. You know, the brand is a solid brand with a high brand equity. We managed to open 4 new restaurants. 1 had just opened as part of the deal, 3 new ones opened, and we've got quite a few in the pipeline still. So Doppio is obviously the bigger contributor of that portfolio, being sort of representing 82% of the mix. So far, yes, a great integration process. working with wonderful entrepreneurs who have got a flair for menu development and restaurant design and development. So far, yes, very happy. Obviously, we are re-looking at the future of all the pizza brands because they also have Pizza Vino. And then their new brand, which is the Indian-inspired cuisine in Modern Taylor. We've opened a second restaurant recently, not in the old financial year, but this financial year in Pretoria.
Let's go into the other restaurants because I guess on the other side of the spectrum, there's a kind of sentiment or I guess maybe perception that Panarottis and John Dory's are maybe somewhat the laggards. But really looking at these results, it may seem more John Dory's than Panarottis. Would you say that that's the case?
Absolutely. Panarottis has shown an amazing turnaround. I think we repositioned the brand probably about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And the results have been awesome. Just a wonderful growth from that brand, a great looking store, a great customer sentiment. Customers are returning to the brand. People are saying, I haven't been to a Panarottis, I'm back again because of the revamp. And also the opportunity, once again, as we've said with Panarottis, is to serve a meal and a product that isn't intimidating to the consumer. We can all share a pizza, eat it with our hands. We won't get judged because we can't all order our own item.
Yeah.
So the vision for Panarottis was set out when we repositioned it, and I think it's coming to fruition. It's a great brand, and I think there's a great future for sit-down pizza places in the whole of Africa, actually.
Well, talking about the future, Val, I understand that there's lots happening in the economy to the upside and also to the downside. But in the short term, are you maybe expecting more tailwinds than headwinds?
I'm hoping that we will see a positive sort of rollout of the trading period. I think the first quarter probably will be a bit more subdued. But I would imagine that the second quarter probably will be good as we lead up to year end. I think South Africans are amazing. I think when it comes to year end, we make it happen. You know, whether it's with a bonus or mom's loan or whatever it is, we like to celebrate, and our brands are well poised for celebration. So yes, I think it's going to be uncertain, and we're not sure how it's going to pan out. But we're going to put our plans together to enjoy what we can and attract our consumers going forward.
Yeah, and in South Africa, December starts in September. So just the sun coming out is a good excuse to celebrate.
As soon as it gets warm.
Indeed. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights today, Val. Much appreciated. That was the CEO of Spur, Val Nichas.